Hello and welcome back to the Commodities Institute podcast. I am Emily Costa and today is Thursday, March 12th, 2026. It is a day of unprecedented maneuvers in the global markets as we witness the ripple effects of a conflict that has essentially put a chokehold on one of the world's most vital maritime arteries. We have a lot to unpack today, from massive strategic reserves being tapped to a sudden halt in South American agricultural exports. We begin today with the metals market, which is currently reeling from a supply shock centered in the Middle East. The region produces roughly 7 million metric tons of primary aluminum every year, accounting for about 9% of the global total. With the Strait of Hormuz effectively closed, that supply has frozen. In a major move, the commodity trader Mercuria is planning to withdraw nearly 100,000 tons of aluminum from London Metal Exchange warehouses. They are likely pulling this metal from Malaysia to meet urgent obligations in Europe and the United States, where shortages are becoming acute for industries ranging from transport to packaging. We are also seeing Rio Tinto raise its aluminum premium offer to Japanese buyers by a staggering 79% for the second quarter. If accepted, these premiums would be the highest in over a decade. The physical reality of these smelters is particularly concerning. They cannot just be turned off and on. If the molten metal in the pots cools and hardens, it can cause permanent damage, meaning even if the conflict ends tomorrow, the market recovery for aluminum will take months. Turning our attention to carbon and power, the energy map is being redrawn in real time. Asia is currently in a scramble for liquefied natural gas to replace the volumes lost from Qatar, the world's second largest exporter. This desperation is pulling cargoes away from Europe. Most notably, we have seen at least one United States shipment from Louisiana switch its destination from Belgium to China. This is a significant pivot, marking the first American gas delivery to China in a year, despite the prevailing tariffs. Meanwhile, Europe is facing a confusing demand picture. Gas consumption there has actually dropped by about a third this month. Part of that is due to higher prices, but unseasonably warm weather in Central and Western Europe has also dampened heating demand. However, the long-term outlook remains tense. European gas inventories are at just 27% of capacity, the lowest since 2022. Storage operators need to inject roughly 6.9 billion cubic feet of gas every single day through November to be ready for next winter, a task made much harder with Qatari supplies offline. In the world of agriculture, a different kind of disruption is unfolding in South America. Cargill has officially paused its soybean export operations from Brazil to China. This stems from a change in how the Brazilian government conducts sanitary inspections, making it nearly impossible for traders to secure the necessary certificates for their vessels. Because China buys 80% of Brazil's soy exports, this has left local farmers with almost no one to sell to. At the same time, we are looking at a much tighter global sugar market. The broker StoneX has slashed its global sugar surplus forecast by 70% for the 2025-2026 season. This is largely due to falling production in India, where states like Maharashtra and Karnataka have dealt with premature flowering and declining productivity. While this might eventually offer some price relief to struggling mills, it adds another layer of volatility to global food supplies. Of course, the headline story continues to be the massive intervention in the oil markets. The International Energy Agency has agreed to a record-breaking release of 400 million barrels of oil from strategic stockpiles. To put that in perspective, this is the largest coordinated release in the agency's history, dwarfing the previous record set in 2022. The United States is leading the charge, contributing 172 million barrels. Energy Secretary Chris Wright has indicated that this drawdown will take about 120 days to deliver, with plans to refill the reserves with 200 million barrels within the next year. Despite this massive injection of supply, oil prices actually gained 5% on Wednesday. The market is looking at the math and seeing that 400 million barrels only covers about 20 days of the supply lost through the Strait of Hormuz. With Iran warning of $200 a barrel oil and continuing to strike merchant ships, the sense of urgency is palpable. Finally, we look at the dry freight and shipping sector, which is navigating literal and figurative minefields. The United States government has partnered with the insurer Chubb to launch a $20 billion maritime reinsurance plan. The goal here is to provide the war risk coverage that private insurers are currently too hesitant to offer, hopefully encouraging commercial ships to resume movement in the Gulf. The risks were made clear just hours ago when two tankers, the Safer Sea Vishnu and the Zephyros, were attacked and set ablaze in Iraqi waters. These ships were carrying fuel and condensate, and the attacks resulted in the tragic loss of a crew member and the closure of Iraq's oil ports. In the midst of this, countries like Jordan are moving quickly to secure food security, issuing tenders for 120,000 tons of milling wheat as they anticipate further logistics challenges. It is a period of extraordinary tension where every commodity is interconnected. A closure in a narrow strait in the Middle East ends up affecting the price of a soda can in Europe, the fuel in a tractor in Brazil, and the heating bill in a home in Chicago. We will continue to monitor these developments as they happen. If you found this episode valuable, be sure to subscribe, share, and leave a review.